Hi, Jeff here, and I'm in Morocco, and I'm in a very special place because in 1975, I was on a surf trip and the surf went flat on the coast here. And we came inland looking for a place called Paradise Valley where you could swim in amongst date palms. And on the way, we passed this scene behind me. And it caught my attention because there was date palms with fruit trees underneath. I could see oranges on trees and pomegranates and figs and grapevines. And it was a whole assembly, like a paradise. To me, it looked like the paradise we were looking for. Actually, that was somewhere else. And we did go and camp and swim. But we stopped here and had a look at this. A date palm overstory, what I now understand is a food forest. And I've returned here quite a few times, and I found out from the local people it could be over 2,000 years old. Now that's something very sustainable because it returns enormous amounts of organic matter to the soil. It shelters the productive system with its own shade. It manages its own organic matter. Now this system is actually under a bit of threat right now because they are extracting gravel out of the river here that they're crushing and adding to roads locally. And it's changed the hydrology, but a system that's 2,000 years old is pretty resilient. Now it's fed from a water channel upstream, up in the valley, that was traditionally maintained to gravity flood into the system. So it has a water system, but it's a very basic one. And this is a very interesting system. And although it's reasonably short term, I have some heritage here too. So we're going to go for another walk around and have a look because it's something very interesting that applies to dry lands. Right out here in North Africa on the west coast, all the way through the Middle East to Central Asia. Wherever traditional date palms are grown, they become the ideal canopy over a dryland food forest. And we can put food forests up anywhere, but this is the classic date palm dryland system. There's a small grain crop in the food forest. Here's a crop of sweet corn with date palm fronds made up as the fence. Beans and sweet corn under olives and dates. Pomegranate, grape and date palm all together. Here we have carob, and there's some giant carobs throughout the system, of course, also under date palm. Fig trees are also right the way through the system. This one's reaching up between olives. It's starting to fruit. Olives are everywhere through the system, one of the hardy tree anchors. And then also you have these little watering gates in what's now a concrete channel that's working very well. So water switched off in this section. And obviously these gates have recently been opened. And they're all the way along. Little simple metal gates, handle on the top, slot, a metal slot in the side of the concrete entry point, and some rocks to back it up. Well, it's wet enough for frogs, that's for sure. Grapes over olive, under dates. You definitely don't have to prune you definitely don't have to prune grapes to make them more productive. You get more vine when you let them go wild. They're just a little bit more difficult to harvest. But who really cares when you've got this much abundance? Little piles of animal manure appear to be arriving. It's all very casual and very random. So here's a pile of manure and another pile of manure and another pile of manure. They're not really spread out. They're just randomly placed in this little flood irrigation system. And I can see the soil's damp. There's actually a little bit of edge work in here to hold the water under these olives. This is very, very low tech and very, very basic, but also extremely easy to do and not labor intensive at all. Here's a simple block, just some rocks, bit of vegetation, and we're turning the water at a right angle, going down that way. I've got one of our local Berber farmers here with his transport system. The old friendly donkey. Looks like he's getting a bit of material. Hamar? See? For the Hamar. Yeah, he's fueling up his donkey. There you go. Okay. Here he is. Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, so he's got, this is to feed the donkey when he gets home. Just pulling a few weeds. There we go. And they've got random manure again, just random piles around all over this area that can be flooded, probably going into a crop. And here's the here's what we're carrying on the donkey. That goes over the donkey's back. Anything coming in, anything going out, and that's how it's transported. So it's definitely a slow food movement, this one, but it's nice. And it's probably very relaxed and a lovely way to live in a system that's so, so sustainable. There's no more bananas. I can't find any citrus. And it's all dry and there's not many crops under the ground. So I asked the locals and they said we had a huge flood that damaged a lot of the irrigation inlets and now a massive drought. And now a lot of the rock out of the dry riverbed is getting taken to build roads. They're still piling manure. They're getting ready for rain when it comes and the water level to rise up. And they're actually pumping from underground to fill the irrigation channels just to keep the fruit trees alive. So if this is a 2,000-year-old system, at a point in time where organic matter is dropping radically low in all industrial agriculture and food shortage is absolutely imminent, we're going to have massive famines. We can't keep turning good land into desert and let systems that are ancient and been running for centuries, if not a few thousand years, we can't let this lesson disappear. This is the point when we have to choose. Are you going to pay attention to systems that run on their own cycles of organic matter and fertility with very, very small inputs? When I first started researching this system, they told me 800 people farmed in this area under this canopy with all this production. Now the young people are moving to the city. There's just a few old people here keeping it alive. The variation in climate going up and down from big floods to big droughts. All that we can work out, but we've got to want to do it. Otherwise it disappears. I think we should teach a course here with the local people, with the local community groups, and attract people in to save these systems before it's too late. And we should search out other systems like this worldwide in all climates, because these are the answer. And the extension of these systems through conventional agriculture are the answer to the way we repattern a permanent future for humanity on Earth in a way that's beneficial to nature, and we better hurry up. There you go. Serious one this time. Hope you've enjoyed it.